have multiple athletes who have hit just as fast and faster speeds than Mbappe, Davies, and Dembele. And no, they did not come to me with faster speeds than that. Everyone had completely different levels of speed. For example, one guy who came to me even before I released the 30-day speed blueprint years ago, he had a top speed of 28 kilometers per hour or 17.3 miles per hour. And he got it up to 36.79 kilometers per hour or 22.9 miles per hour. Now, even with me showing you the numbers, some of you guys aren't going to believe me, and that's perfectly fine. This video is not for you. I am well aware that that is absolutely insane progress, but I'm also well aware that I've seen this multiple times and it is a possibility. Someone just came up with this bullshit saying one day of like, you can't teach speed, and it's just completely not true. Just like any physiological quality, strength, endurance, power, all these things can be improved. Now listen, did he also show up 2 to 3 times per week fresh and make sure that he was actually dedicating himself to some real speed training for a long period of time? Absolutely. Can you also get as fast as Mbappe, Davies, and Dembele? There's no real way to know unless if you try. But I would bet my entire house that if I asked that athlete who was running 17.3 miles per hour years ago if he could run as fast as Mbappe, he would say no. So there's no way to really know until you try. And if you can live without knowing, then this video isn't for you. But if you are still with me, let's talk about how you can do the same. Oh, and make sure to stay until the very end, because at the very end, I'm going to give you an additional bonus hack for how you can become as fast as possible on the pitch today. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about 3 new points about technique that I've talked about almost not at all on social media. We are also going to go over 4 different starting positions that you can use to maximize your speed with video examples, and we'll knock out 3 of my favorite sprinting drills to work on top speed. And no, this isn't going to be a video about builds again, because I know I just made one on that. If you're curious on that, you can go back and watch it. Now, a massive reason for why your favorite footballers are fast is because they have an efficient running technique. A lot of people focus on this hyper-specific running technique nonsense that doesn't really matter when it comes to efficiency and actually improving your speed. They just want sprints that look pretty, but we don't do that here. Here are 3 ways that you can improve your running technique today. The first thing you need to understand is that air is your friend during top speed. What that means is when one foot is hitting the ground, we want a big amount of front side separation of the opposite leg. This is what is going to give me the most air time. So as one foot is hitting the ground, I don't want that opposite foot to be anywhere near hitting the ground again. That is what we go for acceleration, where the ground is more of our friend. So ideally, when that foot is on the ground, the opposite leg is up in the air at 90 degrees, ready to cycle down, and then they are switching the legs at the proper time. The second point that you need to focus on is to make sure that the foot strikes directly beneath you. This will make sure that you spend as little time on the ground as possible. Because if I'm running and my foot strikes in front of me and my hips are back here, then this foot needs to stay on the ground as long as it takes for my hips to get over that foot, and then the other leg cycles through. So it's increasing our ground contact time, which again is only really useful for acceleration running mechanics, not top speed. And number 3, we need to focus on 90-degree joint angles at the hip, the knee, and the ankle. There is one exception of this. I like to train these positions on the track and on the pitch because it is beneficial for people to make sure that they can hit those general joint positions. But when you are on the pitch and you aren't sprinting perfectly linear, if you do actually need to change direction or you aren't sure what direction you are going to go into next, then your knees and your hips can actually be a little bit below 90 degrees because you want that lower body to be nice and available to hit the ground quickly so that you can change your direction. But again, we do train those 90-degree joint angles because if someone does play me a ball over the top and I have to get there before someone like Mbappe or Davies, I know where the ball is, I know where I need to be. I'm going to be utilizing the best top speed running mechanics that I possibly can. Point number 2. One of the most important things when it comes to being as fast as the pros is getting your start positions right. So for maximizing our top speed on the football pitch, we're going to be utilizing soft start positions. If top speed is a real focus of yours, you want to do things that bypass the acceleration phase. We want to do this because if we want to stress the top speed portion, we don't want to waste any of our time focusing on the acceleration phase. And that is exactly where the soft starts come in. Soft starts utilize the least amount of force into the ground, and when you do them, you are bypassing the acceleration phase just a bit more. Soft starts require the lowest amount of force into the ground in terms of starting positions, and when you do them, you will start the sprint faster than if you did a hard start, thus working on top speed more. Some simple examples of soft start sprint drills are walking starts, there are falling starts, there are falling lateral starts, and you can do things like skips into sprints. When Kyle Walker was asked what is so hard to guard Mbappe, he didn't just talk about his speed, but he talked about his ability to quickly change his pace. So it wasn't just the fact that he was fast, it was the fact that he could produce those fast speeds seemingly out of nowhere. Of course, some of that is having good acceleration, but there are so often times where he has the ball and maybe he is coming at a defender really slowly, and then he explodes into his top speed almost instantly. So instead of going from like 0 to 100 really quickly, he may go from like 10% of his max speed or 20. And this is where slow to fast runs come in. It is really simple. It's kind of like builds, except with a bigger jump in intensity. So you can go from like a 25% max speed 10-yard run into a 100% max speed 30 to 40-yard run. Or you could go from like a 50% max speed 5-yard run into a 100% max speed 50 to 60-yard run. The options are just about endless here. And this is going to train your ability to go from a sub-max speed where you are running and you aren't going to be able to get into this perfect acceleration position and then just hit that fast speed so your defender cannot keep up with you. So before we get into the final bonus one here, please make sure to like the video, maybe subscribe if you got anything out of this, so that I can help you guys get to the next level, whatever that is for you guys. Now in football, we don't need to just be fast in straight line, but we also don't need to just be fast in a curved motion. So how do we focus on both, besides just fully isolating linear sprints and curved sprints? For this, we have two options. We have straight runs into curved runs, and we have curved runs into straight runs. So how do you all use these drills today so that you can get faster? For the straight runs into curved runs, you have two real options on how you're going to progress them. You either go from a longer straight run into the same curved run, because the longer straight run that you have, the faster you're going to get into, and the more you're gonna have to decelerate yourself when you do go into that curve. Or you make the curve larger that you go into after your straight run, because again, the bigger the curve is, the more you're gonna have to slow yourself down. So by increasing the curve, you're going to have to improve your ability to decelerate and then pick up speed again during the curve. And for the curved run into the straight run, if you are trying to improve your top speed, we have two options. We can actually make the curve before your straight run a little bit smaller, because if there's not as big of a curve, you're going to be able to hit a faster speed as you do the curved run, and then you're going to be able to hit that same fast speed or even a little bit faster during your linear run. So it almost acts as if it's like a build. And the most obvious one, you can just give yourself a longer straight run after the curved run to really overload that max speed. Guys, I really hope this was helpful. There's a million different ways that you can get faster on the pitch. And if there's one single thing you took from this, please know that everybody can get faster, and you'll only know how fast you can be when you really try. Please make sure to like the video, please make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all next time.